Okay, welcome back. Section 11 represents a fairly significant departure for us because we're moving away from our definitions and now talking about more broader but very important subjects, starting with informed compliance and reasonable care. Definitions that we went through. Now we're going to elaborate on those meanings. As noted in the definitions section of this module, an understanding of the concepts of informed compliance and reasonable care are essential to an importer's success. That belief pretty much has to be a given at this point. Second bullet, both of these topics are based on the premise of shared responsibility between U.S. Customs and Border Protection and the trade community. And as we know, that really comes down to two things. In our first sub-bullet, basically, U.S. CBP is responsible for making laws and regulations readily available to the trade community, which they do. And conversely, U.S. importers are responsible for understanding these laws and regulations and adhering to them. Pretty basic stuff. The nature of the relationship must be clear. We mentioned this in our definition of the MOD Act. Let's say it again, that the details on informed compliance and reasonable care are found in Title VI of the North American Free Trade Agreement Implementation Act, which went into effect back in December of 1993. As we stated in our definition, second bullet, Title VI of NAFTA is also known as the Customs Modernization Act, the MOD Act, as it is more succinctly known. As an all-encompassing statement, we'll wrap up this slide by saying that informed compliance and reasonable care apply to all facets of the import process. Of course, the main ones being classification and valuation, as well as entry of goods. But important to reiterate that informed compliance and reasonable care are all-encompassing responsibilities. As part of its commitment to shared responsibility, U.S. CBP really does exercise a great deal of effort in making information available to the trade community. Second bullet point. In addition to making customs regulations, 19 CFR specifically, and the HTS-US available in multiple formats, CBP offers numerous subject-specific publications. As a brief aside, and without editorializing too much, U.S. CBP, as well as its partner government agencies, really do an excellent job in their shared responsibility to making information available to the trade community. That's both import and export, most of which is online and very, very handy. It's just a question of knowing where to go and look. That's what we're going to focus on in these upcoming slides. Let's start off that conversation with a trade tip. The landing page for U.S. CBP informed compliance publications is the following. We have some screenshots to demonstrate just exactly what that is all about. Really an excellent tool. As our title indicates, we are looking at U.S. CBP Informed Compliance Publications, the landing page screenshot. Just a great resource with hyperlinks to dozens, if not hundreds, of other resources. Let's start off on the left-hand side, run through it fairly quickly, and we'll get into the details of what we're looking at in the center in just a second. We can see, starting in the upper left-hand corner, information, and these are all links, by the way, information on basic import and export, ACE and automated systems, obviously a pretty important topic there, rulings and legal decisions, cross, as we've spoken of a number of times. We can go straight to that link from there. Directives and handbooks, Federal Register notices, where upcoming changes are first published before they become codified and put into 19 CFR. We can get a head start on seeing what's coming down the road related to customs in the Federal Register. We can click on Informed Compliance Publications, which is what we're looking at right now, actually. Just a variety of general and specific topics to click on. Let's look at Informed Compliance Publications in the middle of the page. CBP has a number of these publications in a series referred to as What Every Member of the Trade Community Should Know About, and then, of course, fill in the blank with the specific topic. This is just a screenshot, and as you can see, the available ICP downloads are alphabetical in nature. There are multiple pages here. We just wanted to share a screenshot. But if we as an importer were looking at bringing in goods from a country in Africa and wanted to understand the preferential duty treatment that goods might receive out of Africa, we could look at the African Growth and Opportunity Act, the AGOA. Going down the list from A to B to C, if we were looking to import beauty and skincare products, we can click on that. If we're looking for classification and apparel terminology under the HTS US, we can click on that. And the list goes on and on. On the right-hand side, some quick links, rulings and legal decisions, some important stuff there as well. Customs bulletin and decisions. We mentioned that in some of our definitions and the necessary access that importers need to demonstrate informed compliance. We see cross again. We can click on the HTS US and go straight to that. Questions on intellectual property rights, a very comprehensive collection of documents and publications that are essential to effective importing. As we said, this is a good place to start to look for both general as well as very specific information. What we're looking at is an essential tool to exercising informed compliance. In this particular screenshot, we clicked on directives and handbooks, and needless to say, that's where we landed. These are more specific topics that we can look at. On the left-hand side, same information as we saw previously. On the right-hand side, the same links as we also saw previously. We're most interested in the middle, and we can download these handbooks with mountains and mountains of detail around the subject we're looking to study. Let's break out some examples. Recent guidance materials. Marking of country of origin on U.S. imports. Very important subject. Let's look down at handbooks. Here's one that's super helpful. CBP Form 7501, the entry summary, how that needs to be completed. What better tool is there than coming directly from the source, CBP? Electronic invoice, programs, broker management handbook, and also a bunch of directives. Trademark and trade name protection, quota and visas, specific to textile and wearing apparel, quota, class merchandise, quota openings, temporary import under bond. Essentially, everything that we've been talking about thus far can be found here, as we said, directly from the source. Just a great tool for an importer to exercise informed compliance. Let's wrap up this section with a real-world example entitled, Blame It on the Customs Broker. Although not a requirement, many importers utilize the services of a customs broker to enter goods into the United States. Among other things, brokers work in an agency capacity on behalf of the importer to prepare the electronic submission of entries to U.S. CBP. We saw that in our definition of customs brokers. Here's what we haven't talked about so much. Second paragraph. Because brokers play such an integral role in the entry process, some importers are under the mistaken impression that it is the broker's responsibility for the accuracy of information presented in an entry. While the broker must exercise due diligence in their activities, they certainly can't be negligent in any way. The ultimate responsibility for informed compliance and reasonable care, related to all facets of importing, falls to the importer of record. Third paragraph, quick example, whereas a broker can offer a suggestion on the classification of a product, an advisory as it's sometimes called, it is on the importer to take responsibility for its accuracy. The same can be said when exercising reasonable care in areas like country of origin, marking, and valuation. As such, should issues arise with U.S. CBP, it isn't an option to blame it on the customs broker. Things don't really work that way. That's going to wrap up this section. When we come back, it will be reasonable care, the importer's responsibilities.